that's so.
Oh, roll call, please.
I'll figure it out.
All right.
Gershenson,
Here.
Cavell is absent with notice. Erickson Galt. Here. Taylor. Here. Spiz.
Present.
Powell. She's here, she's not in the room. Gingell is absent with notice. Lutz.
Here,
You have quorum?
thank you. Please join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first order of business is approving the minutes from February 4th, 2025.
So
We
moved.
have a motion by Commissioner Spiss, support from Commissioner Taylor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Our minutes are approved. Our next item is approving the agenda. I have a motion by Commissioner Taylor and support from Commissioner Spiss. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Our agenda is approved. We've arrived at our first public comment. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment on items on the agenda? Seeing none, our public comment is closed. We move to communications. There are a number of items under communications. I would encourage everybody to look at them. I would like to go through each communications for a minute, so you will be aware of all the good work you each have done. So the first is from our public health, is a report from ARPA and a report from Legal Aid Assistance, Healthy Food Access Initiative, Roofs, Ramps and Repairs, School Mental Health Fund Initiative, and Senior Tour Pilot Program. So in there and following are a number of statistics that I think are quite interesting. OCHN has a number of reports under the quarterly report regarding the co-responder program. So in the first part of this year, co-responders have received 300 referrals, and they're exploring a partnership now with West Bloomfield Police. There's a report regarding crisis intervention team training in the Oxford Benefit Grant. Youth Assistance has a report on how they're using the money throughout the counties with the 68 youth assistance programs. There's a report from Legal Aid Assistance, home repairs of roofs, ramps, and the Senior Tour Pilot Program. Did everyone have a chance to read communications or want to highlight anything? Commissioner Spiz?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a couple questions and a couple comments, and just
Sure.
maybe a couple points of clarification that we could probably get in the future. First one, since I see the letter from Ms. Stafford indicated we have a couple programs that are closing for ARPA, which is good to see. I just asked staff if we can get an overall summary again of what's still open, what's not open, and maybe how much funds we have available. I know we did it late last year, but maybe once a quarter we can get that.
Good idea.
And then if you go through some of the data, I'm gonna try to get page by page. If you go through the OCHN report, one of the questions is on the school navigators. I've already talked, Christine May.
Mhm.
She's here. Christine,
Yes.
you come to the table?
Oh, sure. We'll just put her on the spot.
That's fine. I gave her a heads up, so she won't be too much up, but it's still a couple minutes. And one of the comments I have in the report, if you go on page 6, which is item 8, so I'm not sure how it lines up to the report on
Which one though? Which report?
OCHN.
Well, the school navigators?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
it's section 8 in the report.
yeah,
And just the numbers.
yeah.
If you read the first sentence, it says the most recent fiscal update available is as of November 30th, 2024 of $274,526.56. Of the school navigator contract has been used, which totals 77% of 1.4 million. Math doesn't add up. So I've asked Christine to look into it. And then if you go into the summary of the charts, which might be better to show you. The school navigator program, it says they have $273,305 left. So the numbers just don't add up, and I just wanna make sure that it is correct when we receive and file it. Because when somebody looks at this 2 or 3 years from now, they're gonna say, okay, what the heck's going on when they try to follow these numbers,
Right.
so.
Can I, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I did, so I tag teamed everyone on some of the reports and I'll get some clarification just because it is a little bit how they're reporting. The budget and finance team reports that back to our access team, which is where our school mental health navigators sit, and I think the way they're reporting the numbers, sometimes there's a lapse in time when the data comes in, but also regarding the financing, I'll have them be more specific and now have them give the correct report out. So funds are separated based on what was used for admin, what was used for service.
That's what I figured.
And so I suspect as I was tag teaming everybody, and said, okay, is this a date issue? Are you guys reporting the admin piece and the service piece differently? And it's causing confusion and the 77% doesn't add up. So they are all tag teaming now to get the correct information. So there's a distinction between service and admin, which the admin piece would be employing the school mental health
Right.
navigator.
And I do appreciate that, so thank you.
Yeah, so.
The next question is on the co-responder program. And I see we've only used about $140,000 to date, which I know it's relatively new, and I think everybody in this board truly supports this program. But if I'm correct, we have to use that by December of 2026, because it was ARPA funds. So I'm just asking for a little bit more detailed plan on how we're gonna speed that up, because I think everybody has given this program a thumbs up. We had it at the breakfast, they came and spoke about it, how good the program was, so I just wanna make sure that we're gonna be able to use as much of those funds as we can. So I'm just looking for a more detailed plan to speed up that process a little bit.
Yep,
We will send, I do know with the co-responders, the justice team has a detailed work plan, so we can share that work plan because part of that then includes the hiring piece of it, and then supporting those new communities. Some communities have approved funding through their municipalities, some are contracting with us, some are doing it separately, so once we get, when I get back, I'll make sure that they pull that comprehensive plan, which details, and part of what you and I talked about, I think, with the CIT training, just so this board is aware that we have a team who researches grants, community grants specific for our justice program. So last year we had about $10 million in grants to help with those initiatives. So with the funding is less, I think we $22,000 for
Yeah,
CIT.
she's jumping ahead to my next comment.
Oh yeah, jump right ahead.
The CIT, the crisis intervention team training, we only have about 22,000 left in the monies that we've allocated towards that. Christine was mentioned, they have a lot of other grants that come into OCHN to help support that, which is good, because my question is, what's the plan once that's all used up?
They're usually all justice initiatives, none are funded by Medicaid, so those programs are always, we're diligent and looking for long-term grants to sustain it until, at which time, we can identify billable services for our CIT training and for our other justice initiatives. So there is a team also working with Medicaid to determine which of those services are billable that maybe weren't billable in the past.
Great, and my last one, I think for OCHN is the Oxford benefit grant. We put aside $570,000, which some may remember, I'm not sure everybody was on the board when we did that, but part of that was to help individuals cover their insurance costs for,
Right.
for aid that the benefits and or co-pays, et cetera. We've used about $170,000, so there's about $400,000 left. So my question was, how much longer do we see we're gonna have to keep that up? And I'm assuming it's gonna be in budget discussions again this year in a couple of months. But it's something we're gonna have to put out for 10 years. So I've asked OCHN's recommendation for that. What do we think we need to do?
And I'll talk with our clinical team and ask them just based on that ripple effect and long-term effect of trauma, what do we want to keep? We have not seen a high level of requests for insurance benefits, but then all of a sudden we will get from a family a request for $2,000 and $3,000 from 2 or 3 years ago. So I'll ask for the clinical team's
I
recommendation
appreciate
on
that.
that.
And if I may have a couple others. Not for OCHN though, do you want me to wait?
Let's hear from Commissioner Gershenson
well, I
regarding this
was
item.
right on that. I feel there's not enough detail on these communications. I wanna know what's been spent, how much is left, how much time do we have to spend the rest of it? Whether or not it's time sensitive, and it's on almost every single one of these. So I would like staff to get back to whoever submitted these communications that that's not all the information we need. But that it's critical for us to know what's left and what are we able to do with it? Does it have to stick into the same department to spend it, or, so I think we're at the point where we really need more detail on that, and, you know, I would appreciate it if you looked at it, each one. I think one of the only ones that really had expended almost everything we've given them was, youth assistance.
Mhm.
But,
There's a couple there from Leanne's report that they closed out too.
okay,
Healthy Food Initiative is complete. and
cause it's incumbent upon us
Legal
to
aid
know
is-
where that money
legal
is,
aid
and,
complete.
you know, I know some of the leftover money was put into the general fund so that the time requirement doesn't apply. So I'm kind of wondering if the same thing will happen here, but we just need a little more detail.
Thank you.
I can go back, we worked with the health division on developing the templates of the reports, but I will go back and say, these are the things we need, because I know they have the information,
Yeah.
so I'll make sure you get that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Spiz, did you have another question?
Not for OCHN.
Okay, we're ready.
Thank you. Just this one's more of a comment on the legal aid. I mean, I didn't really have a good idea, but looking at some of those numbers of people affected by eviction and foreclosure in the county was higher than I would have expected, and it's surprising to see, but I'm glad we supported that program and great info that was put together for that. My final one is OLSHA report. If you go to, I think it's the very last page. Yeah, the very last page, the metrics. There's 3 different bullet points on there with dates. First one, July 24 through December 24. The next one's July 24 through September 24. And the third one's October 24 through December 24. They all have different numbers, but they all overlap. So it's somewhat confusing what the numbers and what they're trying to really tell us in that part of the report. So if somebody could reach back out to OSHA, make sure those dates are accurate, because that's my first suspicion is they overlapped in a date somewhere that should be a different date and they copy pasted it maybe. Just to clarify that those are accurate.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Gershenson?
And along those lines, it's very exciting, cause we did use almost all the money on that OLSHA one, but I wanna know from them, is there any follow-up? Should we continue this program? I mean, they've reached out to so many communities, I don't know if it's redundant to continue the program, but I would like to see someone here and give us their analysis of where to go from here. Also, on the legal aid, how much did we give legal aid? I didn't really see it, and I was wondering, the total number, we assisted 15,000 people?
Oh, no, it was just
Okay.
moving.
We assisted 15,000 people? Am I reading that correctly? And so how much money, I don't see where it says how much we gave them, what the ARPA grant was, and how much they spent, and how much is left over. So I'd like that from legal aid too.
I thought I saw that.
No, they don't got none.
I didn't see
They
it.
just got the,
Good questions, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anything else under communications? Do you want to talk?
So are we looking to receive and file youth assistance, legal aid, and critical home repairs and exclude the others, or just receive and file?
We're gonna receive and file what we have now,
Okay,
in addition to requesting additional information and updates, presentations that will come back before the committee.
okay.
Thank you.
Oh, we need a motion in a second.
Don't we have a motion in a second?
I'll move.
Thank you, Commissioner Spitz. Who would like the second? Commissioner Taylor.
We have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, communications are received and filed, thank you. We move on to Health and Human Services. We have one item, which is a memorandum of understanding between Oakland County Health Division and Oakland Community Health Network for the provision of access services. Who would like to make a motion? A motion by Commissioner Powell, support from Commissioner Erickson Gall. And who do we have here? We have Kate and Leanne here to speak to this item? Yes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kate Guzman. For those of you who haven't met me yet, I'm the new health officer. And we just wanted to let you know that we have an exciting partnership with the Oakland Community Health Network, which is our community mental health agency. So we're partnering, the Health Division and OCHN are partnering to create an access point for behavioral health services at the South Oakland Health Center in Southfield. And OCHN behavioral health specialists will be co-located with the OCHD clinical staff in Southfield to triage, screen, and link patients to behavioral health services. And OCHN is incurring all the costs of staffing and all the rest of the expenses.
Thank you. We have something similar at Honor Community Clinic that's highly successful. So adding this to our southern part of Oakland County is a marvelous idea. Commissioner Gershenson?
So I agree. Welcome, Kate, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Could you just give me an example of some of the behavioral health services that one might be referred to?
Yeah, for sure. Referring from like what somebody might be experiencing in clinic or in WIC, or just coming into the building looking for that access point. Could be anything from mild to moderate anxiety and depression or crisis de-escalation. A lot of times our clinical staff are experiencing real barriers to getting clients connected through the mental health system. By calling the access line is a real barrier to care. So having their behavioral health specialist on site at the South Oakland Health Center will be a direct linkage to care. So for example, our nurses sometimes encounter patients that are post-assault victims, patients that are suicidal, and then patients that have chronic anxiety and depression but don't have a care provider. It's kind of that full spectrum of behavioral health needs and the ability to have a warm handoff to mental health services right in the building.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, would you prompt the vote?
You have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Our next items are from the Sheriff's Office. We have 3 items. An amendment to the Law Enforcement Services Agreement with Addison Township. The second item is a Police Dispatch Service Agreement with Huron-Clinton Metropolitan Authority from April 2025 to March of 2027. The last item is the Oakland County Human Trafficking Task Force Interlocal Agreement with Madison Heights and Southfield. I have a motion by Commissioner Spiz, support from Commissioner Powell. Before we begin, I would like to welcome our new Undersheriff, Captain Timothy Willis.
Sure.
All right, and I would like to thank and congratulate Major Wondrip, who's retiring after 33 years, so
Well, thank you so
retiring in
much.
March.
And if I could, we have my replacement, gonna be Major Russ Yizer.
Oh,
He's gonna be the major, so.
All right, thank you. Thank you for all your time and energy and understanding you've exhibited in this committee and out in the community. So your expertise and wisdom will be greatly missed.
Thank you.
All right, welcome.
Thank you. So, good morning. Gay up here, Sheriff Fiscal Officer, and obviously these changes are bittersweet. I'm excited to work with my new team members, and then, sad that the other ones are leaving because we worked so well together.
She's more excited to work with her new team members though.
So obviously we've all been waiting for the new undersheriff to get announced, and so he has jumped in. The announcement was made Friday. He started Saturday, and here we are on Tuesday. So it's we're jumping right in. So the first item is an amendment number 1 to the Township of Addison's law enforcement agreement. They are deleting 1 deputy 2 position effective April 1st, 2025. The next one is a new dispatch service agreement with the Metro Parks Huron-Clinton Metropolitan Authority. They've asked us to dispatch the Metro Park police that work in Indian Springs and Kensington, and then that'll take effect on April 1st as well. And then the last one is the human trafficking, and Under Sheriff Willis will take that.
Yeah, that's to enter into an interlocal agreement with Madison Heights and Southfield to join the task force. Commissioner Spitz and I've been at meetings with him prior to, there was a identified need for human trafficking to be addressed. I realize we put the cart before the horse a little bit here, but we gave the task force some resources to address this, and we've had a lot of success so far. So what we're trying to do now is make sure we get the interlocal agreement signed by all parties.
Thank you. Commissioner Spiz?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Comments in the first and the third one. First one, I support the reduction, but I'm hopeful that it is the last reduction we've seen based on the increases we put in place last year. This is one of my fears when we put these large increases on these small communities up in the north. So hopefully it's only the only one, but rumors are it's not gonna be. So I expect more to come through here, unfortunately, but I'm hopeful that they don't. So, but I will support it because that's what the Township of Addison is asking for. On the last one, Human Trafficking Task Force. I'm glad to see this is in front of us. This is something that we've been pushing for a long time. We still have a long way to go. And just so everybody on this committee is aware, there's probably more to come. We are in discussions about additional resources for this cross-jurisdictional task force because we're gonna need them. We do have cases that are popping up, and we'll get into those more when we have our first Human Trafficking Task Force meeting here at the county this year. So I'm in full support of that one.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell?
I just wanted to say I'm sad to see Wondrick go.
Thank you.
You've done a great job, but I am excited to see my boy Russ over here now with me. We worked together during PAL, so thank you, and I look forward to working with you more. You're a new face to me,
Same,
even though the name, so thank you. And Gabe, you always do a great job. Just stay with us, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all
I know everybody's
wanna say.
bailing on me, it's.
So thank you all.
Commissioner Gershenson?
Could we get your resume as well, just so we could familiarize ourselves with your background? We'd appreciate that.
We were gonna send all of their contact info through Michael Andrews. Is that the easiest way? Do you want us to do it
Yes,
that way?
that's
Cause I know a
great.
couple people
Yeah.
have reached out to me individually, but if we'll get it all in one lump sum so you all have it, cause obviously
Speak
you're
now.
gonna need you're gonna need their
And I was gonna
their
ask,
info.
who else is on the Human Trafficking Committee?
William Mellon and Lenny, I think.
Yeah.
Lenny, I thought, okay.
Yes.
I think Dave. Is it Woodward on it too, or did that change?
Commissioner Taylor?
Yeah,
Yes, thank you, Chair, Madam Chair. I'm in, under sheriff now at the human trafficking training, which was phenomenal. I can't speak enough about that. And you will see a lot more requests coming through for human trafficking because of the regional task force that's been put together. And I'm glad to know that we now have the interlocal agreement, because I know the city of Southfield and Madison Heights have been working with the team anyway, but now they have an official person that they've designated for that. So we'll see more of that. And once we start meeting, as you stated, which we are trying to get a meeting on the calendar, I've sent a text to our chair. And we'll see what happens from there, so. But this is very exciting for me. I'm glad to see it because the training helped us to learn a different way to recognize victims and then how to offer help. So you're gonna see a lot more help for victims that we wasn't seeing in the past. So, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell?
And while we on the human trafficking, just to put on y'all radar, committee members, one of Brenda Carter staffers is interested in being a part of the task force. I don't know how y'all selecting or if y'all doing that outside, but just to put it on your radar, so I'll send an email to you, to the commissioners and staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One
Commissioner
more
Gershenson?
question, so explain to me, what is our committee's relationship with the sheriff's? How does it all fit together and the funding of it?
Well, the funding is separate, right?
Is our committee funded?
I think we have roughly $50,000 that we put aside a while ago.
Yeah.
But what we're looking to do with the cross-jurisdictional task force here is, one, get more communities on. I think we have Southfield now, Madison Heights, Farmington. Is Farmington signed yet?
So, no, sir. So Farmington, in talks with Farmington, already there's several police chiefs I've met with to discuss. Obviously, human resources are difficult, but everyone kind of recognizes this is a really big need in our region. So we're learning more and more about it. To her point, you know, this idea of treating the women as sex workers solely is gone. Those are gone eras. So now we're looking, you know, at them as victims and how do we get them out of that complete lifestyle. And it's a challenging task. It really, really is. But law enforcement has shifted their focus away from that. We moved on to like looking at treating these workers, if you will, as victims and you know, getting them to work with us and resources such as Haven and things of that nature.
Yeah, but back to your funding question, it's one of those things, it was the chicken or the egg. So we felt we had to put this cross-jurisdictional task force together first, and the sheriff's department stepped up and gave us a head or a person to kind of lead it, and then Madison Heights jumped in with the resource. And then now Southfield's gonna jump in with the resource, and some of the other communities gotta jump in with resources. Kind of like the drug enforcement task force too that we have, or the auto theft task force. The issue that they're working on also is grant money. There's grant money out there, so but we had to have this form so we could get the grant money. But we as a board of commissioners also need to discuss from a funding perspective, how do we fund it? So there needs to be
is there a line item? Do you have a line item in your budget? No.
We have nothing to
You
date,
don't
but
have any,
Not yet.
okay.
and the grant application
This
is,
is coming.
This is coming.
the grant application is fairly complicated. There's a number of things that you have to have, and you have to have a coordinator. And I don't know everything about that, but we've looked at it, so there's a lot of stuff that has to be, so I think once this is set, everybody has to collaborate and figure out where the funding is gonna come from, who's gonna lead it, who's gonna be the applicant, whether it's the sheriff's office or someone else in the county or coming
Another-
through the board, so.
Another
and I-
valid point is the prosecutor's office is also integral in this.
Right.
So there's gonna need to be support not only in the sheriff's office, but also the prosecutor's office, because the number of cases that are coming through is overwhelming now. I mean, that's, I hate to say that, but that's true, right? Most
So it's
people for a long time used.
here to hear this.
Yeah.
I already,
Yes,
it's already on my
people in the
radar.
past didn't think this was in our backyard, but it's in our backyard.
Yeah.
All right, so we need to
Okay.
be prepared for it.
Thank you for filling us in on all that.
A lot of moving parts right now, but.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding these 3 items? All right, would you prompt the vote?
6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, motion's carries. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you for your support.
Thank you
Thanks,
and
guys. Look
welcome.
forward to meeting you all further.
Our next item is a presentation from Peckham Incorporated, a nonprofit. I asked Peckman to present their information to us following a conversation with Chris Bujak, who is part of Oakland Leadership. Oakland Leadership in groups develops white papers and looking at gaps. And this is a gap in Oakland County where Peckman may be able to fill this for us. So it's working with people with disabilities and finding employment, doing training, and how we can fill that gap that we have. So I want to welcome Peckman to us. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. We appreciate the opportunity to come here and talk to you today about Peckham Incorporated and the work that we do to support those with disabilities throughout the nation, frankly. I have with me my colleagues, Caleb Adams, who is our Chief Human Services Officer at Peckham, and Sarah Britton, who is our Director of Youth Services. So we'll start, I'll tell you a little bit about Peckham and what we do, and then Caleb will talk a bit about our human services, Sarah will talk about our youth services, and then of course we can entertain any questions. And we are going to wrap this up, so write this down. We're gonna wrap this up with an invitation for you to come and visit us at our corporate location, which is in Lansing. Realize it's a different county, but we think that you get the full Peckham experience and understand how we serve the people that we do if you're able to put your feet on the ground and understand how it all works. My name is Lisa Webb Sharp, and I serve as Chief Operating Officer. Peckham is a pretty large and complex organization. We celebrate our 50th year next year. We are an organization that provides the jobs of tomorrow for folks with disabilities today. And so how do we do that? Primarily, Peckham gets its revenue through federal contracts. We're a federal contractor. Probably one of the largest federal contractors in the state that engages in the kind of work that we perform. Peckham has several lines of business, which I will go over for you. You look at the slide now. My colleague Caleb is advancing our slides for me. We have several federal contracts over 4 different lines of business. One is our contact center solutions. So think of inbound contact centers. We have 8 contracts over 3 states in 6 locations, doing everything from passport calls to calls for the technical help desk for the Forest Service. We also have a manufacturing division. We manufacture clothing and equipment for various branches of the military. Anyone a veteran or have veterans in their family? You've seen that rucksack, right? So we make the rucksack and we store the rucksack. In our next line of business, 3PL, we have 3 contracts, large federal contracts, a couple with the Army and one with the Defense Logistics Agency to store lots of clothing and equipment, various equipment. And then we have a custodial services department line of business. And you'll see on our slide, it says that we only have 2.5 FTE. That is because our only federal contract for janitorial services is at the federal building in Lansing, where there's a courthouse and postal service operation. But we also have the state set-aside contract for the buildings within Lansing, and you'll see when I talk about custodial services, the size of that. So you can see the breadth of Peckham and what we do. We also consider our human services line of business. So our next slide covers all of our lines of business with the exception of, notice what didn't make it on the slide, our farm. We actually have a farm. It's not a profitable farm at this point. We grow strawberries and tomatoes. We sell them to Meijer and other locations. They may show up in a restaurant near you. If you eat really good strawberries, you know they came from Peckham. But you can see that our contact center solutions line of business has federal contracts of about a little over $200 million, maybe $220 million. Our manufacturing, that's it's settling in around $50 to $60 million on an annual basis. Our 3PL, a little over $46 million. Custodial services, our smallest line of business, that performs these kinds of services, about $10 million a year. And then Caleb's operation, the human services, we consider that a line of business because it brings in revenue, which you'll hear about later through many of the grants and other contracts. So what do we do in our contact center solutions space? So if you happen to want to travel internationally and you think you need a passport or you want to renew your passport, you have a question about how to do that or where your application is in process, you're calling your neighbors down the road. Peckham is the company that you're talking to across the nation. We have about 500 to 600 team members in the Lansing area, about 300 in Grand Rapids, and almost 1,000 in Phoenix across 2 buildings. So in our nomenclature at Peckham, you'll hear us talk about 2 words: team members and staff. Team members are persons served, our clients. Staff, Sarah, Caleb, and me, and others. We have about 650 to 700 staff. So in our contact center solutions, we service the State Department with passports We also service the USDA Forest Service, so when it's wildfire season, we're busy. We have a technical service desk that we perform for them. We also have a customer interaction center at the Federal Center in Battle Creek. That's an operation that is probably our most difficult. We work with the Defense Logistics Agency, so when people in the military order things and they want to know where their parts are or how to get something, they call and talk to us and we help track those things down for them. We also have in the state of Kentucky, our Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services operation where we talk with beneficiaries who are trying to figure out what they want to sign up for Medicare. That's pretty much our contact center solutions line of business. Next, we have our 3PL, third-party logistics. So I mentioned that we store things for the military. We have about a little over $1 billion in inventory spread out across 1.5 million square feet in the Lansing area. Primarily, all of our warehouses are in the Lansing area. Those team members are picking, packing, shipping, driving, high-lows, all of that. They manage, and they manage really well. Their metrics are always at 99.9% on-time delivery. We're very, very proud of that. We get that kind of performance across all of our lines of business. Our next line of business, I mentioned it, our manufacturing line of business, apparel. We make clothing for the military. Think cold weather systems, hot weather systems. We make a steam suit that goes on submarines, lots of different areas that we do for the military. For those of you who may have been enlisted, if you ever remember putting on your base layer, so your shirt and your drawer, kind of long johns, that's what we make at Peckham. We make that first and second layer as well as a green fleece jacket. And then at our custodial services operation, most of our contracts are with state government. In the state set-aside program, we clean about 75 buildings a day, a little over 10 million square feet every single day of space. So that wraps up the business part of what Peckham does and the kind of services we provide. Yes, we have people with disabilities who participate in paid job training to perform those services, but we get no different treatment. We have to perform just the same way commercial industry does. And in fact, in our contact centers, for the most part, we beat industry service standards for our average handle time, our customer satisfaction scores, everything. Our state clients and all the cleaning that we do, they're very satisfied with the work that we perform. And then in our manufacturing, on-time delivery is really, really important for us. So we have very highly skilled workers who are very diverse and very committed to the work that we do. We love being a social enterprise, right? What is a social enterprise? It's a business with a mission. We take our money, and even though we are a nonprofit, the profit that we make at the end of the year, we invest right back into Peckham and into our foundation. So with that, that's the business side of it, and I'll ask you to turn your attention to my colleague, Caleb.
So what does making steam suits that go in nuclear-powered submarines, what does that have to do with nonprofit work? We were formed, back in 1976 at a time when folks didn't believe that people with disabilities could work. And that was prior to the ADA. So employers can say, no, legally, we don't want to hire individuals with disabilities or other barriers to employment. We found out really quick that we had an incredibly talented workforce, and we really built our social enterprises around uncovering that talent. And that same rigor from our social enterprise, focusing on the individual and what they're able to achieve and focusing on what they want to do. We bring into our workforce development programs. We run workforce development programs like Michigan Works. We're the contractor for the Tri-County area in the Lansing area. We do a lot of vocational assessments and career planning for individuals coming through the state voc rehab system, the VRNE, Veterans Administration. We do a lot of job placements throughout the community. You'll see in a slide later, we do about 800 placements outside of Peckham on an annual basis. That's our goal this year, around 800. We work with returning citizens who are coming right from prison through the Ingham County Jail to get them all the resources that they need in order to integrate back into society. And a key focus of that, of course, is employment. We have a skilled trades program, which Sarah's going to talk about a little bit more, that helps those individuals who are coming, who were previously incarcerated, as well as a lot of the youth that we serve. So we serve youth with disabilities, transition age youth, 16 to 26 year old youth in the greater Lansing area, but I'm gonna throw Shiawassee in there as well as Genesee County. We do job placement all throughout that area. And then we work with adjudicated youth in the Ingham, Genesee, and now Washtenaw counties. We have some HUD residential housing, an adult foster care home, a whole variety of human service programs that allow us to have a huge impact in the community that we serve. And I'm gonna kick it over to Sarah Britton in 1 second. I just wanna go through some Peckham statistics. So internally within Peckham, we believe deeply that we're not just putting people into entry-level jobs. We want to see career growth and upward mobility, and we have that baked into everything that we do. So within our workforce, we had 854 instances of individuals having upward mobility within our organization. Those are persons served, individuals with disabilities or other barriers to employment. That would include a higher wage, a better title, and more responsibility. That's how we describe upward mobility. We placed 670 individuals into community employment last year. This year, our goal is 800. But this next statistic is the one that's the most important to us, which is we paid out over $100 million in client wages. We find that the best way to give someone autonomy in life is to earn money. You get to decide where you live, who you interact with, what you do with your free time. And so a big part of what we do as an organization is we provide opportunities for individuals to not just make an entry-level wage, but to develop skills and assets over time so that they can live a full life. This number, so we served 7,566 individuals last year. About 3,000 to 4,000 of those individuals received a paycheck from us on one of our social enterprises. So about half of the individuals we serve are folks that we employ, like Lisa said, in Michigan, Kentucky, and in Arizona. The other half are individuals that we're serving in community programs. And if you're wondering what types of individuals we're serving with disabilities, here's some statistics. A large percentage of the individuals we serve have mental illness, but we serve a whole broad set of individuals. And each line of business that we have, whether it's manufacturing or custodial work or running a fork truck, really allows us to work with the individual, look at what their barriers are, figuring out how to mitigate those barriers, but more importantly, working with them on what they want to do. And having a variety of jobs that people can plug themselves into, whether that's a customer service role or running a CNC machine. So that's a general overview of human services. There is an addendum that we set, I believe it should be in your board book, which is a presentation we did for the court here in Oakland County. I've listed so many places, it took me a moment. In Oakland County, to the court that Sarah and I did a few weeks ago. And Sarah, I'm hoping you can talk a little bit more specifically about our court adjudicated youth programs.
Yeah, thank you, Caleb, and thank you so much for having Peckham here today. As you heard from Lisa in the beginning, she gave a broad spectrum of what Peckham provides. Caleb narrowed it down to human services, and we're going to narrow it down a little bit more to my neck of the woods, focusing on youth services and reentry services for returning citizens in our juvenile court. So in your addendum, you'll be able to find some details about our youth services program and a little bit about our reentry programs. You can find specific details and I'm available for any questions afterwards. I'm just gonna give an overview. So our youth services contracted with Ingham County Court back in 1987. And since then, we have been working with adjudicated youth, giving them the skills to be successful as they transition into the world of work. We've really listened, as Caleb was alluding to, focusing on the needs of our participants. And that's really been the key ingredient to our growth and our success in providing really meaningful and evidence-based programming for the youth that we serve. So we've listened to our youth. We've identified that they need industry-recognized credentials. So we started and expanded our trades program. We also have contracts through the National Restaurant Association and Educational Foundation to expand our culinary program. We're expanding into the forklift operations as well, just to equip our young people with attainable skills that will transition and transfer to the job market in high demand jobs. We partner with Michigan Works, so we try to get all of our youth also co-enrolled with the WIOA programs. A lot of the youth that we work with as a court order, so youth are court ordered to participate in our programs. We want to give them all of the essential tools and resources and networks while they're still under court jurisdiction. So when they are released from probation, they can know and be familiar with the community so they can further pursue successful pathways. So we have over 3 decades of innovation that we have incorporated and expanded our youth services. And this aligns really beautifully with the new juvenile justice reform that was rolled out. Having the focus on evidence-based practices is something that we've been doing for almost a decade now, using the University of Cincinnati to guide our cognitive behavioral intervention and skills. So not only are we focusing on career development, all the traditional approaches, resumes, interview skills, professional portfolio, industry recognized credentials, but we're also focusing on the recidivism factor of how they're thinking and replacement thinking through the evidence-based practices. So we are really excited to incorporate that and highlight those approaches. We've seen the success with our recidivism rates really drastically reduced since they've been participating in the CBI sessions. I also like to take a moment to highlight some of the really creative things that, because I get to work at a beautiful nonprofit like Peckham, we're able to do some out-of-the-box things that I feel are really unique to Peckham. We do monthly talent tours, so every month across all locations, we have a career of the month. We take students on talent tours. We also do something called community givebacks. So our students are leading how they want to contribute and give back to their own communities. So this is completely different than traditional community service, that we expect the youth to complete 10 hours of community service. Rather than having that approach, we ask the youth, how would you like to give back to your communities? What do you see the needs are? And then we help them see their dream, like their ideas come a reality. So we've done different things to support their vision of giving back to the community. We also do travel abroad opportunities. We've taken students to Costa Rica, groups that have probably never even been out of their home cities. We've partnered with Michigan State University and really focused on those transitional travel experiences. That's been probably some of my career highlights, having those opportunities. We've taken 2 groups to Costa Rica, 1 group to Arizona to see the Grand Canyon, and now we're going to be working on our next trip, to be determined. So as Caleb mentioned, we've started in Lansing. We expanded to Genesee County in 2017, and then just this year we've expanded it to Washtenaw County. We really have strong partners with the local courts, and we work with the systems and the community to provide the best service possible to serve our youth.
So, and I guess I should have started by saying, you noticed Sarah said, we've been invited.
Yeah.
Like we were invited here today. We only go where we're invited. We don't want to cannibalize another nonprofit's business or what they're doing. If there's a way for us to augment, we are so willing to talk about how we can help with that. They have expertise we don't have, we might have some expertise they don't have. So how do we collaborate together to create the best outcome for our respective communities? But it really is important to us that we not ever be seen as going in and trying to take over what another nonprofit does who's in this space, or to encroach on their jurisdiction and what they do. We have found our success leaning into what we do, and we're always hosting others to share and collaborate, and we're going to see other organizations and what they do. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, Sarah, before you keep going, we know what we're good at. We're good at jobs, we're good at vocation. That's where a lot of nonprofits tend to struggle. And there's a lot of areas that we don't want to be everything to every community. We want to embed ourselves with the nonprofits in those areas and bring in the strengths that we do have. So couldn't have said it better, Lisa. Sarah?
Oh, I was pretty much done. That was great.
So I would just add, so
Yeah.
the beauty of what Sarah talked about with respect to our young people and asking them what they think is important in their community and what they can work on. We've all had employees, right? And you know that you see their greatest development. When they start to understand, when you start to understand what it is they are interested in doing, you work with them to develop a plan, but they've got to put in the work. You're there for guidance and advice, right? And they often surprise themselves with what they come up with and what they can do and what they can create. Sarah has a wonderful celebration toward the end of the year, and to see some of the young people and folks from the court system who are so very proud of the accomplishments that these young people have achieved, it's really heartwarming to come and witness what she and her team work together with. They don't do it for them, right? They work together with the young people, pulling out what is already within them. It's what we do with people with disabilities who often have not been given the opportunity to work, right? Our programs wouldn't be necessary if people willingly hired those with disabilities. Let's just be honest about that. But that doesn't happen. And so we have developed a way to make sure we work with folks with disabilities, and we try to help employers understand how they too can work successfully with those with disabilities. As Caleb talked about our 800-person goal for outplacements this year, we'll be working with community employers to help them to go in and assess the jobs and to help them understand who we have that might be ready, right? And you saw the list of disabilities. We get everything, right? Your intellectual and developmental disabilities, those like me with a vision impairment, people with hearing impairments, that's why I project so loud, because I don't know how many of you might have a challenge hearing, right? So if you do just the little things sometimes, you can help incorporate others who have talents and help them see the success. The upward mobility design of Peckham is to help people have incremental successes so that they begin to believe more in their own talent and capabilities, and then you see them blossom and perform. One statistic we are proud of is half of our staff, almost half of our staff, started out as person served. That's an incredible accomplishment. We didn't do that on purpose. I just happened to be looking around the room one day when the State Department came to visit us, and I was looking at the number of people who used to be team members, and we went and looked further into the data, and that was the case across Peckham. It's a wonderful place to work. But Madam Chair, we could go on and on about Peckham. As you can tell, we're glad to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. I think it's important to know that this is a service we do not presently offer in Oakland County. It's a gap that needs to be filled. And knowing you're in three other counties right now is confidence building also. And your programs do sound wonderful. So I would like to work there.
It is a great place to work.
Commissioner Powell?
So I have two questions. So just to let you know, my parents are deaf and hard of hearing. So I was kind of, with your percentage, it kind of alerted me because I do know that that your services and what you do to help in that deaf and hard of hearing community is really needed. The connection is a delay. As far as even with the current agencies that's in Oakland County right now, I don't see them performing as they did years ago when my dad's 80 now, but when he was in the working force, I've seen more involvement with the deaf and hard of hearing agencies assisting to help in the employment space. So I do see a decline in that as I still kind of deal with some of the agencies, now. So I was kind of alerted though, because y'all was at 1.9%. So my question is, like, with the deaf and hard of hearing community, is it just that even though they're on the lower radar, y'all just don't see them? Because we have a large population in the state of Michigan. So I was just trying to figure that. That's my first question. The second question is, when you mentioned courts, I am struck by the youth programs within Peckham. And I know for a fact, we have a missing middle with our youth as far as stuff like that. Now, where things is at, I don't know, but I want to know, the court that y'all went to, did it go to juvenile? Y'all did speak to juvenile?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. No, y'all know I give y'all credibility. You ain't gotta say nothing else. Okay, great. So I just know that I'm happy that you all are connecting, because I think a lot of the things that you all do, and then me talking to some individuals that work in our juvenile system and just working with youth in general, I know we're strapped for like staffing capacity and what they can do. So if another organization, or like they said, partner to find out what are you all doing better that we can improve over here, I think that's a great conversation. I would love for you all to start right there in our juvenile to help in that space. So those were my two questions, and I'm happy that you are already in with our juvenile system.
Well, I will just say, with respect to those who are deaf and hard of hearing, I think, in the broader population, for folks like me, right, those with a visual impairment, it's only 2% of the population. And, I find, at least in my interactions with others, it's not uncommon for people not to disclose a disability if they can manage without disclosing it because of the stigma. I didn't walk up here with my cane because I don't use it as often, right? And it's because of the stigma. But I'll tell you some of the success we've had in our third-party logistics in our warehouses, right? There was a thinking, at least, I want to say it was Meyer Corporation, where
this is a public hearing.
I'm
Let's
sorry.
not call out an employer.
Where certain employers, right, were challenged and didn't understand how we could work or employ people to drive fork trucks, right? So what do? We talk to the people we service, and we put on our creative thinking caps, and guess what? We have people in our deaf and hard of hearing community who drive fork trucks. How do they do it? They put a light on it.
And you know what's crazy? You brought that up, because my dad was at General Motors, and he had to kind of like almost go lawsuit to make them conform the building, put the signs up, make the alerts, so he can drive a high-low.
Yeah,
So it's the same. So I can align with what you're saying, because my dad just went through in his work career, so.
We were working with a large retailer with a large distribution facility who said there's no way that an individual who is deaf or hard of hearing could run a fork truck. And we invited their managers over and directors over to our warehouse, where we have a large population of individuals who are deaf and hard of hearing, and supervisors as well, who work in that operation. And they said, this is different than our operation. I said, well, explain to me why the individuals we're talking about can drive their car to work every day in the snow, but they can't drive your little fork truck, And that did change things. And at that employer, which is a very large retail operation in Michigan, they changed their policy, and they're all in on employing individuals with disabilities in their third-party logistics.
Thank you.
So we take anyone, when people come to Peckham, right, disclosing your disability is voluntary, right? Now, for our staff, it's all voluntary. For our team members, because of the federal program through which we get awarded contracts, 75% of our team members need to have must have a qualifying disability, right? Because that's what this procurement program is for. It's to provide jobs for those who are blind or have significant disabilities. And so it's a iterative, continue to work and listen to people kind of process. You know, our buildings, we use the concepts of universal design. Because if something works for, if you make the wayfinding easy with colors and everybody has light equity because of some of the mental health challenges, we all need daylight, right? You know, not straight hallways, not hallways that look like they're going into a tunnel. All those kinds of factors come to create what is a great to work in environment and one that works for the people that work there. So.
And my final question is, with all the changes, with things changing in federal, are you all concerned about those changes would any of that affect you all?
So we've had a couple of directives from departments affect us for those who use a certain government email. However, Peckham, we are who we are. We serve people with disabilities. Diversity is one of our values. And it's because you saw in that list of diversity of disabilities, people think about folks with a physical disability or intellectual disability. We believe that all disabilities, and that allows us to do the variety of work that we do. The program we are part of is a procurement program. We are a completely merit-based organization. No one gets their job if they're not qualified to get it. If you happen to look like me or you or anyone else around this table, God bless you. Right.
Thank you. Commissioner Gershenson?
Yeah, I have two questions. The contracts with the courts for adjudicated youth, are they youth that have disabilities? Or this is a different?
We found that most of the youth that are being referred or being served by the juvenile court do have a disability, but they don't need to have a disability to qualify for our juvenile programs.
Okay.
But it's excellent that we have the support and expertise of Peckham's history of serving people with disabilities, because it's proven to be, we're able to advocate for our youth in a
We also
way.
serve a large population of youth with disabilities who are referred either from their school district or through the pre-ETS dollars through state BR. So that's a population we serve as well, but many of those individuals also.
And so Penny, when you say this isn't a service that we have in Oakland County, are you saying that it would be a contract with the courts we would have, or how do you envision?
Right.
I didn't consider the courts when I first heard about Peckham. I was looking at our people with disabilities, young and old, to be able to be trained and find employment. Hearing about the court is an extra bonus to me, and also a needed component. And perhaps Chris Bujak, I know you've met with them, would I be able to put you on the spot and have you add any comments?
One of the reasons that we reached out to Peckham and invited them to come and present to the juvenile court was because of the feedback we've heard from the other courts that they currently serve. And those programs are great. I mean, everyone loves them. They are really filling a space and helping people that need help. With our focus on community-based services, what they offer with job training and with skill building, that really speaks to the community-based services and the people we're trying to help. And one thing they didn't tell you that we know they do is they do Peckham alumni. So once a kid is a Peckham kid, they're always a Peckham kid. So kids can come back if they're 24 and they've lost their job, or they need to change a skill, they need to do something. Peckham hosts these alumni nights, brings those kids back, helps them build a resume, helps them with job training, helps them get in a program. And those are important things, and something that seems like we could really benefit from here in Oakland County. So we wanted to talk with them about the juvenile justice initiatives, but they'll also serve anyone who faces barriers to employment, adults or youth, They serve people with, justice involved. They serve people with learning disabilities, physical impairments, the whole spectrum. We're hoping that they're gonna put together a presentation for the juvenile court. Many of the services that they offer would be child care fund eligible, so our contract with them would be for services that would fall under the juvenile court. But the county as a whole may have interest in other programs.
So I understand that, and that's quite easy to understand. The harder part I'm having is seeing how it would fit where.
Michigan Works.
Where, Michigan
Yes,
Works?
under Michigan Works, because my understanding through Jennifer is we don't offer this, so I was looking at the broader program.
I see.
But the all-inclusive piece of it to, for our adults in our community and then our courts is a natural fit.
Oh, wow.
Well, I agree. I just didn't see where it would sit outside of the courts, but Michigan Works is a option for sure.
Commissioner Erickson Gall?
Thank you, Chair. Wow. This is taking me back. In another lifetime, I was a job coach with ARC in another state. And I really love and appreciate the fact that you are a social enterprise with the intent of not just giving somebody something to do. You know, back in the day, it was like we would, pick them up from group homes or whatever, from their individual homes that they're living with their family. And it was viewed as, and this is going back decades, glorified babysitting. And I love that the perspective is making them productive members of society, is giving them the option that pathway become fully, the same as everyone else walking the streets, having the same opportunity. So that's great. And that you're leaning into not just diversity, but inclusion. A lot of people that, badmouth DEI, they're forgetting about how inclusion has made an amazing difference in our society. You mentioned the ADA and other programs that have just made this huge difference. So thank you for that. The one thing that came to mind is, especially on the youth services, how does that mesh with making certain that our adjudicated youth are completing high school or going on to college opportunities if that's what their choice is?
So we have really strong partnerships with our educational partners in each community to support them with credit recovery, help them. There's something beautiful that happens when our youth who've been adjudicated go on a talent tour and experience a career they never even were exposed to. Then all of a sudden they're like, wow, look at this culture in this workplace, I wanna be here. And then they start connecting why school is so important in order to work at the places they are. But we're not naive to think that some of our youth, due to their circumstances, maybe they're a teen parent, maybe they have other priorities. So we understand also the value in helping them get a job to help them be productive members of society and give them the information, the resources if they do want to pursue their GED. But education is always a fundamental part of their treatment plan.
Thank you.
Commissioner Powell?
I just wanted to go on record and say that I think this is a great organization, be it if we partner in future or whatever. But because we have so many moving parts on federal, and I know all of us can attest to this, we have to wait to see how things kind of transpire because we know that there will be some cuts in our consideration, just us moving forward on our own budget here at the county, be it if we do any partnerships or moving with such an organization. So for me, I just want to put that on record.
What cuts would you envision?
Well, she danced around the question when I asked her.
For Oakland County.
Federal funding that may come down to us, anything that will help us benefit to partner with them to expand our services more here in the county to be all Oakland County. So that's all I'm saying. I just know we know, I'm gonna address the elephant in the room. At the end of the day, we know that things are going on at federal. We all are on standby because we're trying to figure out what federal plans are going to be so that then the county, the state, and how we need to move for the rest of the year and future I love their program. And my thing is, I don't, even with us partnering with them, we may have to expand and offer some money so that they can outreach more in Oakland County. That's just an option. So if we don't get certain funding, we're not gonna be able to do that. But I just wanted to put it on record for my own comment, my own mind, and just that we address the elephant in the room. Thank you.
I don't think that should be a barrier at present to move forward with providing services. But it's a consideration and something that our finance department can look at.
That's what I know, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, things are changing. So I just want to go on record and say that, thank you.
Commissioner Gershenson, followed by
Oh,
Commissioner
I think
Spitz.
you wanna go ahead?
No, don't, man.
Well, I know that when the original federal freezes came down, several of us reached out to administration and were told that administration is working with a fiscal to identify the programs that could be in jeopardy because so many of our programs are federally funded. So we would be prepared to act. So I was just gonna say that there is movement on looking into the possibilities of what could happen. So we won't be blindsided.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Spitz?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have probably 1,000 questions, but I have to decide which hat I'm wearing. Because during the day, I'm an engineer, so a lot of the ops stuff that you guys showed, I'm intrigued in. You know, how you're operating, how you're doing that, but I'll push those to the side for now. I also happen to sit on Dutton Farm, which you may or may not be aware of, which helps disabled individuals also. And to go with Commissioner Powell's question, have you guys seen anything from a Medicaid perspective or changes in payments and stuff like that yet? Today, based on, because you guys probably have a bigger footprint than others may have in this space, so.
So for our Medicaid programs, we're primarily doing some skill building and then CLS dollars. We haven't seen any major changes that would be rolling down from the federal level. So I don't have any, and then adult foster care, home.
It's early.
We don't have, it's early, Commissioner Powell, just to further hopefully answer your question, we are careful with our words, but we are part of the procurement process. The dollars that are used to purchase our goods and services come through the NDAA, and the federal set-aside program that we referenced is written into federal law. And so when it comes to working with the federal government on our affirmative business side, our social enterprise side, we feel very confident about our position there. But Lisa.
So we provide services that have been deemed essential, so we never went home during the pandemic.
Yeah.
We came into the office every single day. Some of the services we provide must be provided in secure space, those kinds of things. So we never went home, although we do have some remote positions, so it's deemed essential. And what Caleb referenced, the Javits Wagner O'Day Act of 1937 was set up specifically to have the federal government procure what it would procure anyway. And because we perform well, right, we continue to compete well for this work. So right now, we don't see that changing. Things could happen in the future, we don't know. But we're gonna keep providing our customers with excellent service.
Thank you.
Commissioner Taylor?
I was just gonna add, and just for the commissioners that's here, tomorrow at our finance committee, we are or already have asked our fiscal services to present us with what ifs.
Oh, good.
Because of what's going on now. And they are prepared, but we need to hear it and be comfortable with the information that we're gonna be
Can
receiving.
you share that with everyone after your presentation tomorrow?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Spitz?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to take you up on your offer at the beginning of the meeting to come visit your site in Lansing. I would love to come see it.
Absolutely.
For multiple reasons, some of the other hats too, I just wanna see some stuff.
If you come to Lansing, you can, see our corporate office, which is where our manufacturing location is. We have one there and in Flint. And, you get a chance to see our contact centers and our 3PL and our custodial all there in the Lansing region. But we do operate in Battle Creek and Grand Rapids, so those are other counties, and of course Maricopa County out in Arizona and down in, you know, we have an operation, like we like to say, we operate in London, Kentucky.
Mhm. Birthplace of Kentucky Fried Chicken. So.
That's correct, it is.
Thank you very much for spending your time with us. It's great information and I look forward to a partnership.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk with you today, and we look forward to hosting you on a tour or two or three, whenever you all can make it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, we have moved to public comment, and I understand there are two people from the public who wish to comment. So please come to the front of the table, state your name, the community you're from, and you have 3 minutes to talk.
Steve,
Am I in trouble?
no, give me your card. Oh, you know that, so you don't need it, but.
Welcome.
John Love. I came here for one reason. In addition to that, I can't even read the name tags. They're all facing here.
They're on
And
both sides.
they're
They're for the camera.
gold on green. It's hard to read. White is on black is a better, make it more readable. And the headings on your letterhead doesn't even list all the members that are on the committee here. And their district numbers, the one I went to before had all of that information, so it should rise to the same standard. Reason why I'm here is for one reason. $50 million you got from the state of Michigan, for what? The Coulter Towers. Brooksy Towers is obsolete. We're gonna really outdo it and move to Pontiac. It's totally obscene. And I think it's reduced to the point where we need to recall the head of the county, because that's unacceptable waste of money. The grass is too tall, you gotta move to Pontiac? It's off the chart. And you're responsible for doing this. So something has to change. What does the tower cost? Coulter Towers. Well, we don't know. It's just gonna be expensive. It's gonna be disruptive. It's crazy. It's just beyond even any kind of logical description. And you're the people that are responsible for doing this. And it's a crime against the county to do this. Perfectly good building. Oh no, it has Brooksy's name on it. This is off the chart. So that's why I'm asking that do something so we don't have to have a recall and straighten this out. You have the responsibility. You're just gonna say, well, we gotta do it because the boss says so. No, it's insane. I can't even describe it. It's so offensive, so. Anyway, let's change it and save the county the money and we can spend it on something worthwhile. Michigan schools are at the bottom of the United States. Oh, well, that's okay. Oh, the roads, we're gonna fix the roads. Heaviest truck weight limits in the United States. It's the same limit as a rail car with steel rails. So we're really right on top of all of this stuff. No, we're destroying the whole place. And you people are elected to stop that or do something about it. So that's why I'm here to encourage you to do something sane. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's your guy.
No. Robert.
Hello, everyone. I love to follow when you guys have good things, and unfortunately, there's some bad things. You know, I'm with the probate court, and I have 3 minutes to give you an update. Again, Jody White, you guys know that I've been working in probate court, and on the 20th at the circuit court, my brother-in-law David has been convicted for 4 to 20 years. We waited 2 months to get that ruling, and you know, they threw me in for 30 days, and it was very odd to see. He got 2 months' time, he was handcuffed, and then the same officer that harmed me to send me off to jail was actually putting David into jail. And the reason why this is so important is because tomorrow is another court hearing. And it's in Judge O'Brien's office or courtroom, which I'm kind of like the guy. This isn't his, it isn't really his courtroom, but he acts like it is. And, you know, we're asking for preservation of our entire file. It has been a long 12 years. The Attorney General, I do have to say, she did Union Man sentence on criminal enterprise, that's what happened. It was our commission of a crime in our Oakland County Probate Court. And I'm way calmer than I was back in 2018. We'll have to compare the two videos because I can't believe that it's happened. But this is what Dana Nessel says. I'm grateful to the prosecutors in my office for their diligent work and the family member who brought this case to our attention during our elder abuse listening tour, ultimately leading to the changes that need to be issued. That was my husband. He went to the listening tour when I was in jail because he's like, why is my wife in jail? Because we came to the commissioners to complain. There is a problem. We need to be protecting the people that do file complaints. So tomorrow is a hearing in Judge O'Brien. I'm filing responses. The other guy, Fraser Ehrlich, they just sent me their stuff, you know, on my way here. And their hearing's tomorrow. So we have no time to get, that's what they do. It's just part of the plan that they do. This is the things that I would love. You guys, we have been talking, we're gonna get a committee together. Like they were saying in Flint and Bay City and Traverse City, and I forgot the fourth one, they're actually going into courts and doing this program, which I'd like to interview it, you know, I do this for free. I'll go and look into that program and bring it to you guys because I'm like, wait a minute, why are you doing it over there and not in Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb? Probably they want to work on the pilot program first, but ultimately, there is a way to fix things. And so I just want to always thank you for letting me speak and giving you an update. I'll be back in 2 weeks again to tell you what happens tomorrow. But I am not expecting Judge O'Brien to harm me or my family again. You know, this has really devastated our family, and what I'm gonna ask all of you is, unless Thomas Brendan Fraser gets off of that preferred list that's upstairs, you guys all can have him as your next personal rep for your mother or father or brother or sister or yourself. So just think about that. He's on the preferred list, he needs to be removed. So if someone can look into that immediately, that's an easy fix. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment? Seeing none, public comment is closed. We move to our last item, which is other business. I have a few announcements. There is the second annual Thrive Oakland County Commissioners Reception at the Royal Oak Farmers Market on Thursday, March 6th. RSVP by the end of this month.
Wait, it's the Thrive is at the,
I'm sorry, in Pontiac.
Okay.
But
is it the market though? I thought it was at their offices.
it is at their office, sorry. Their first annual one was at the Royal Oak
Okay.
Farmers Market. I'm a creature of habit, so
Okay.
you change the location and I get lost. So we have our Board of Commissioners headshot and group photo on March 6th. You should have received an email to RSVP for a time for your individual photo shots. And our State of Oakland County address is Wednesday, March 19th, 7 o'clock at the Berman Center for the Performing Arts in West Bloomfield. Is there any other business to come before this committee? All right, seeing none, we are adjourned at 11:55. Thank you, everybody.